This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up? Real MVPs, Ricky Widmer here, along with the man, the myth, the legend, Dave Oster.
I guess that's a thing?
Yeah, that's how I'm going to do
everybody.
it. Like, I realize I completely forgot, because you and me usually don't do one-on-ones.
True.
And when we do, like yesterday for Too Old the Game, it's you on this side, so I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
And I already have the original man-child name, so
yeah,
you don't have to come up with anything. So I went with that for this one. Sean, you're realizing my name is not Sean Anderson. I don't sound like or look like Sean Anderson. Sean's a pitchfork. So it's just Dave and I today, but we got special guests leading off the show, Ziani. He is going to be talking about the Thunder with us. We're going to look at Carmelo Anthony, how he fits with the Rockets. Technically, he hasn't signed there, but he says he's going to sign there, so we're just going to jump the gun a little bit.
Take the man at his word.
And talk about it. And then we're going to look at the Bulls, because Dave and I are both Bulls fans. I got some splaining to do, and we're going to look at, will the Bulls make the playoffs this season? But before we get into everything, before I invite Z in, we're going to do a little housekeeping here. I'll get through it quickly. Number one, if you want to be like Z, want to help support the channel and be on a podcast, make sure to check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. That link down below in the description. You can also see our link for our store, where you can see this man across from me kind of showing off our MVP t-shirt. You can also get that store at mostvaluablepodcast.com, where you can catch MVP each and every day. And then last but not least, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you're listening on iTunes, or if you're on YouTube and you're like, hey, I've got one of those things, I can do this, make sure to go on to Apple Podcasts and iTunes and give The Fast Break a 5-star rating, and then give us a little bit of why you like to listen to The Fast Break each and every week. But let's get into it, boys. We're going to be talking about the whole kind of Thunder trade as a whole. So we're going to be looking at the Thunder. We're going to be looking at what it means for Schroder, what it means for the Hawks, a little bit of what it means for Melo as well. So, Z, I'm going to kick it to you first. First off, welcome onto the podcast yet again. I'm going to kick it to you first. What are your kind of first thoughts in general about this trade that went down between basically the Thunder, Hawks, and I mean, the 76ers did get Mike Muscala in the trade as well?
Oh, thanks for having me, fellas. It's good to be on as always. I enjoy chatting it up with y'all. But to answer your question, I'd say it's pretty much a win-win for the two main teams in it. The Hawks, they free up Headache and Dennis Schroder, however you say it. Mm-hmm. And I kind of heard some stories about how him and Dwight got into some type of altercation. I'm not sure how serious that was, but they get rid of a Headache and they open up room for their star acquisition of the offseason in Trae Young. So, that's a clear path. I'm pretty sure he would have started anyway. I mean, I'm assuming that. But, he gets that. They free that space up for him in the starting rotation. And then, I mean, the Thunder, I don't really know how Dennis Schroder is going to fit with them. He is a point guard. Obviously, I think Russ could play the two, and then you could put Paul George at the 3, and then the rest will work itself out. But I don't know. How do y'all think about how does he fit? I mean, bring him off the bench. Is he too prideful to come off the bench?
What do you think about that, Dave? What is it? We'll look at the Thunder first. What does this mean for OKC?
I think OKC gets a huge win because Melo's gone, and I think they're going to end up with...
And you don't have to stretch it.
Yeah, no stretching, no worries. I like the pickup of Schroder. I think that he will come off the bench. I'm hoping his pride's not an issue. Although I think you're right, Z, in the fact that we are going to see some lineups with Brody and Schroder in the lineup next to each other playing 1-2. The one weird thing is yes, it's awesome you got rid of somebody. Yes, you got another ball handler, but he's also an inefficient shooter, which is not what you need right now to help this team out. So, I don't know. I'm conflicted because on the one side, the Thunder win, and it's a win-win trade, but at the same time, I don't know how much of an asset Dennis will be. I don't know if he's a net positive player for their team.
I think he's a net positive for this year, where basically when I looked at this, I was looking at, all right, you know what? Like you said, is his pride going to be an issue? It shouldn't be an issue, because what was one of the main things he wanted in a trade destination? He wanted to go to a playoff team. He wanted to go to a winner. He's going to a team that, in my mind, is easily going to be one of the top 4 teams in the Western Conference this year. If they're not in the top 4, it's like, oh, they're top 5 for sure in the West. But I see them being one of the top 4 teams in the West this year. And I kind of have a feeling where the Thunder could kind of use this year as kind of like a feel it out, where it's like, is he our backup? Of course, like you said, we're going to see Brody and Dennis in the lineup at the same time, play one at the 1, the other at the 2. But I wouldn't be surprised in this deal is if, like, after this year, because they've got Russ and PG locked down for Brody's locked down. His player op is in 2022. That's going to be the year that PG becomes a free agent. If, like, next year or the year after, they could easily move Dennis Schroder if they want to. Yeah. Like, if he's not working, they could move this piece. And we know that this Thunder organization knows how to kind of finagle trades to basically get what is worth for them. Z, I want to ask you that. Is there, if you had to put your money on it, would you say that Dennis finishes out his entire contract with the Thunder, or do you see the Thunder moving him at some point, even though they acquired him this offseason?
I think that's all up to Dennis, like how he shows in OKC. Like if he proves he can be, like a Rondo type, because we all know he can't shoot, like you mentioned earlier. Probably not as bad as Rondo with the shot, but he can create his own shot. He can, or like driving and stuff, and mid range he's decent, I guess. But if he could just like show that he's a stopper at the 1 defensively, I think that'll definitely up his trade value and make it a little more tough for them to, and make it a little more tough for them to, to part with him. But I think that's probably more of a chance of happening, them trading him, because ultimately he plays the point guard. Russ plays the point guard role or position. So you got Rem. Did they bring Raymond Felton back? So what are they going to do with him? Are they going to play together off the bench? You're going to have 3 decent point guards, and really ultimately you're just trying to get rid of Melo so you can say, what is it, like $300 million? Was it? With the luxury tag?
It's 100. I think it was 100 million. 100 and something million.
300.
Yeah, stretched out over 3 years, I think it was.
Yeah,
for the
it was
stretch
something
provision.
disgusting.
So I think that was my fault, but I think that was the main thing with this trade is getting rid of Melo, and Schroder, I think, is the blonde stripe cherry on top. You know what I mean? So I don't know. But to answer your question, I think probably if I had to put my money on it, that they trade him. Yeah,
I think there's a chance because this team is so volatile, and like the one thing that I love about the Thunder is that
volatile meaning it could combust at any time.
I do mean that. Like no one's safe. Like if they feel like they need to make a move, they're gonna pull the trigger. Like you have to give Presti credit because like this is a team that for the last couple of years is, we're going to go out there and we're going to make big splashes in free agency. We're going to try to do this. We're going to go for every opportunity we can get. So I think that, there's no guarantee that Dennis will remain on this team. I do think, I know I had concerns earlier about like his shooting, but when you look at the volume, he was putting up like 17 shots a game with a team with no other offensive weapons or no other really great offensive weapons. I don't want to describe the Hawks too much, but like,
Bazemore, man.
I know Bazemore's good, but
that's a joke.
I know. I'm trying to be nice to Hawks fans. I like John Collins though. But no, like when you don't have other shooting around you, that means that your shots are more highly contested. So now when he has guys like Paul George on the outside stretching the court, I think that he is going to be a little bit better of a shooter because his shot's actually pretty solid. Like his free throws have gotten better almost every year. But as he has added volume, of course, efficiency goes down. But now I think having guys around him who can shoot, having someone who can help facilitate for him is going to be huge. I think, honestly, he could be like one of the surprising success things, assuming all of this legal situation settles itself out.
I'll throw this at you, Z. This is the thing that I was thinking, because Dave was mentioning the shooting part of it. One of the players that I know, Jake, our resident 76er fan, he was kind of upset a little bit. Jake, correct me if I'm wrong, that the 76ers had to give up TLC, giving up Timothy for this deal to go through. And to me, that is something where I know he's a guy that came off the bench a lot for the 76ers, and he only averaged, last year he averaged less than he did his rookie year, only averaging about 15 and a half minutes per game. But he's a guy that can shoot. At his best end, he shot 40% from the field. He's a 33, low 30s from three shooter and a solid free throw shooter. Do you see him being of course, Roberson's going to be the starting two if he's healthy, but do you see Timothy Wawalu being in this deal and being one of those pieces that, we added some shooting in this deal and he's going to help out the Thunder in a, I kind of want to say significant way, but that might be too strong of a word. What do you think?
Well, as a Suns fan, I would like to say you can never have too many wings, as we've proven this offseason. And I think that that's going to be a positive for them, just adding more depth. Like you said, at the two guard, Roberson most likely is going to start, but he got injured last year, and who's to say that he can return to the form that we know him as, that 3-and-D, not really three, but that defensive stopper. And I don't see nothing wrong with it. That's just another cherry. You're getting a sundae with a whole bunch of cherries on it, and I don't think that that's a bad thing. Depth is nothing that I would never want not to have. So you got a Chugay Ferguson, whatever the little nickname he has.
Yeah.
Terrence Ferguson.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I had high hopes for him. I had really high hopes for him coming out.
I liked him a lot in high school. We almost snagged him at U of A, but you got him. You got who'd they just draft? Didn't they just draft a wing too?
Their wings right now, according to Spot Rack, they've got Jeremy Grant, they've got Kyle Singler, Paul George, and then Timothy, Terrence Ferguson, Alex Abrines, and then Abrinas, and then Roberson are their wings right now.
I thought they drafted somebody, but anyway,
they drafted this year Kevin Hervey and Devin Hall. Okay.
So
both second rounders, but late. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think it's you can never have enough depth, man, because you never know, bro. Injuries are can occur at the blink of an eye. Ask Paul George, you know what I mean? So I think that's a good look for them.
Yeah.
What do you think about it before we kind of move on into the Hawks, Dave, about the whole TLC thing and what he can bring to the Thunder?
No, I like it. He's a guy who is still growing a lot. He was still learning how to play in the NBA. He's still growing as a player. I think that he's not going to be a world beater. He's not going to be an above-average starter, but I think he can be a quality backup. He's got a good body size. He looks as the year progressed, he looked better, but it's still one of those things where he needs some minutes to grow, and on this team, you can get some minutes during the regular season, and then I don't expect to see him at all during the playoffs, really.
Yeah, and
I mean, he's too far down that depth chart.
And the thing with the Thunder, to me, with this whole trade as a whole, this is not the side of the deal I was most excited about. The most exciting part, I thought, was the side we're going to in the Hawks. Because for me, with the Thunder, this trade didn't move the needle per se with me. This is a team that I thought coming in, even with Melo, I was like, all right, they're going to be 4th or 5th in the East, depending on how the Jazz play. Now with this trade, it's like, all right, Dennis is better than what Melo showed last year. Now they could be 3 or 4 in the West. So it's like, you know what? They're still in that 3 to 5 range to me, more so now maybe 3 and 4 compared to 4 and 5. The Hawks are the ones I like of this one, because the big question I had for them coming into this year was, all right, you went and traded for Trae Young. Basically, that was you saying he is the future of our team, yet you still had Dennis on this team. You still had kind of his, to use a word that you used, volatile nature, where if you would have kept him on this team in the season, it would have blown up in your faces. You would have been having a ticking time bomb in Atlanta. I love this deal for the Hawks because this is basically them saying, hey, you know what? We bring in Jeremy Lin because A, he's an expiring contract, and B, can be that veteran presence behind Trae Young off the bench at the point guard. And the thing I love most is this is them saying, hey, Trae Young, this is your team. You might be a rook, but this is your team. Go ahead and run with it. Z, I'm going to go to you. What do you think of this trade for the Hawks in general?
Yeah, like I stated earlier, dude, like clears the pathway for Trae Young. And I think that's a lot riding on him, man. He's in college. I think he proved that he's a pretty good decision maker. What was the stat I heard you guys say a while back during the scouting process about him that he led the league in usage? Mm-hmm. He led the country in like the highest usage rating.
Highest usage ever.
Like, that was just because Oklahoma didn't have anybody.
Yeah, he had some Jimmer Fredette numbers.
Exactly.
In usage.
And to that point, like that's something that's unheard of for like the Power 5 conferences, right? Mm-hmm. Like for a player to have that much, riding on him and that much on his shoulders as a freshman at that. So I think he proved it there in college. Obviously, the NBA is a whole other animal. But to your point, Ricky, I think that this is just like them handing over the keys to the kingdom. Like, look, man, this is your team. Atlanta is a great city, ready for you to carry it, back to its prominence, back in the 60 win days with the Corvers and all them. So
the 5-man all-star team.
So I think he's capable. Obviously, this summer league kind of soured a lot of people on him. Mm-hmm. I guess or the first games in Utah or whatever. But I mean, the trade, like to answer your question again, I think it just clears the path for Tricky Trae to shoot them trades.
Well, and it's like the Hawks in general for me, and Hawks fans can kind of speak to it better than I can, but it's like this is a team that since like 2008, that postseason, they've been a team that's been in the playoff. Now, have they gotten anywhere in there? Usually it has been like, oh, we got bounced in the semifinals like the Cavs. They got bounced to our Bulls in one season. That was when we went to the conference finals and lost to the Heat. And then the season where many fans thought, hey, you know what, maybe we can do this, the 2015 postseason where it's like they beat the Nets, they beat the Wizards. All right, it's us and the Cavs. We got it. We can beat LeBron, and all right, we got swept by LeBron. All right, the semifinals next year. All right, we can do it, and we got swept by LeBron again after beating the Celtics in the first round. And I wonder with the Hawks, with them handing over the keys to Trae Young, does this mean, of course I don't expect them to make the playoffs this year, but Dave, I want to ask you, how long of a drought, is this going to be a mini drought for them, where it's maybe like a 3-year drought, and then by that fourth season, we see Trae Young kind of do I'm comparing it to the Steph Curry of like his 4th, 5th season.
Yeah.
They went ahead and made the playoffs with the Warriors. Or is this going to be a longer drought that they're not going to make the playoffs until Trae Young's second contract in the NBA?
I mean, I think there's a fair chance that they could make it just from staying I'll go straight meme and say it's the East. They could make it this year. Don't even count it out.
LeBron left. It's wide open.
But I think this is going to heavily depend on free agency next year. This, this Carmelo move opened up their cash for next year. That means that they can go in free agency and see if they have a promising future in front of them. Like, who wouldn't want to play with a point guard who is amazing floor general? Like, he is excellent for getting everybody involved, passing like a madman out there. Like, that's somebody everybody wants to play with. So if you can show enough promise that you can lure in, some mid-range to maybe some interesting free agents, that team could make a quick jump. I think it's probably likely it's a 3-4 year kind of a thing, but 2019 free agency is gonna be wild, and that's where the asterisk comes in.
Z, I'll ask you first off, how long do you think the playout drought will last for the Hawks? And 2, if you were a free agent, would you want to go play in Atlanta with this roster that you see right now?
How long will the playoff drought last? I mean, if I was a Hawks fan, I would want it to last at least like at least one more year. Like this year coming up, you got a whole bunch of good wing/2 guards, and I think if you could add one of them to the Hawks, like that's going to make the Hawks fan base like a whole just excited. You know what I mean? Like you already got John Collins, who's a monster as he proved last year, and then I hate to keep harping on the summer league, but he looked good, man, and it's hard not to get excited if you're a Hawks fan or just a basketball fan in general. Yeah. But I mean, you got Trae Young, you got that dude, and if you could add one of those 2 guards or those wings, I think, man, that'll be amazing. So I think probably like, I don't know, man, maybe 2 years, because you never know with free agency, somebody might want to go there. You know, the city's very appealing. Like you said, you got Trae Young, who's, if he could be what we think he's going to be, I mean, Steph Curry, right? Like that's what his ceiling looks to be.
Hawk fans want to be on that page, yeah.
Or Nash, like he looked good, man. It's hard not to get excited about his potential. So, I mean, yeah, maybe 2-3 years. I just don't see nobody wanting to play with that guy if he's what we think he is going to be, and then John Collins as well. So, I mean, addition by subtraction with getting rid of Schroder and opening up the cap space. They got the money. Atlanta's one of the, destination spots. Like it's the Hollywood of the South, I guess you could
I can't even tell if you're like straight faced right now when you're saying the shit out loud.
I mean, I try to put myself in the fandom of whatever team I'm talking about, and I'm trying to look at it like glasses half full.
No, honestly, like the guy we haven't even mentioned, like Taurean Prince, like he made a huge jump from year 1 to year 2, and I think he can make a similar jump this upcoming year.
And then if you add one of those 2 guards, but
and then you move Bazemore. Problem solved, baby.
Bazemore's got a player op, though.
Move that shit.
True, you can trade him.
You can trade him, yeah. So, I mean, that's me trying to, live in fantasy land as a Hawks fan. I'm not, but realistically, I mean, maybe like 4 or 5 years, dude. Like, I mean, but it depends on who they pick up this year. Like, if they tank this year and they get R.J. Barrett or one of them other dudes.
Yeah, R.J. Barrett, Cam
Reddish. Like, it's a lot to like in this. If you
the very top list, there's a ton to like early. We'll see if it continues to deepen out. But like, do you expect the Hawks to be like right at that like 1 through 3 range this year?
Yes, they look terrible this year. I mean, it is the East. It is the East, But I mean, I don't know, man. The East is the East, and we're comfortable with saying that, and it's like kind of funny and a running gag. Yeah. But bro, like if you think about it, the East is pretty. I mean, the Cavs are going to suffer this year, I'm assuming. But everybody else is kind of like strengthening up. The Celtics look amazing. The Philly, and I know the other Patreon, he might not like that.
Yeah, Jake might not love that, but
But I don't care. I'm a Suns fan, so I don't care.
I was say, know what it's like to be at the bottom. You're gonna have some company down there.
Look, and we're
I'm sorry, I got the shot.
It's okay. I got a bet. But as a Suns fan, and I hate to keep bringing up the Suns because this is not the topic,
it's you're on our show. Blood, it's your time to talk.
Born and bred. But as a Suns fan, this is our 8th year. Last season was our 8th year not making the playoffs, and more than likely, even if I want to be a super geek fan about it, we're not going to make it this year. So it's probably going to be 9 years in a row. And when we had old Nash and broken down Amari and Grant Hill, who found the fountain of youth, and all these old good guys, like I was ready to tank then. Like I was ready to tank, and I will be the first to tell you, not that I've foreseen us taking 8 years to get back into the champion or the playoffs, but it's just. Like, what do you want? Do you want to fight to make the 8th seed and then get bounced in the first round by the Warriors, or in the East? You got 3 teams that look amazing now. The Raptors, you got the Celtics and the Sixers, and I'm pretty sure the Wizards. Like, it's a lot to like over there. But like, what do you want to? Do you want to just be in that purgatory? Like, that's the worst. That's the worst spot to be in as a fan. Like,
you're speaking to my soul right now.
I was gonna say, like, Ricky's just got a grin ear to ear as you're talking about.
It's serious, dude.
Why be in the middle?
It's true. It's why. Why do you want to fight for the AC? Yeah, it's playoff revenue. Your team gets money.
Mm-hmm.
Your team gets a little notoriety, and you know the experts and the pundits say that you're not a trash franchise or you're not rebuilding. But like, really, you just stuck. Like, what? Like, that's not something to. We've been there, dude. I'm a Suns fan, bro. Like, we've been towards the top, you know, as championship contenders. We've been fighting for our lives to get into the playoffs, and then we've been at the bottom. And at the bottom, it's a lot better. It's hard during the regular season, and you hear all these pundits and stuff, you know, trashing your team. But look where we are now. Not that we've arrived. You know, God forbid, I'm knocking on wood if you can't hear it. But, you know, DeAndre Ayton turns into to freaking Greg Oden. Or Devin Booker gets all this money and then becomes, you know, a bum or gets hurt like Brandon Roy. Like, hopefully none of that happens. But, you know, what? Like, it could happen. It's life. That's what happens. It's full of surprises. Like Forrest Gump said, it's a box of chocolates. But in that box of chocolates, you never know. You might get something that you like. And it's a lot to like out here in Phoenix. As a Hawks fan, I would say you got two good, potential-wise, you got two great players. Then they look real good. And if you could add one of those guards or wings in this draft, dude, I would, like I said, if I was a Hawks fan, I would want to tank this year, maybe next year too, and just add a couple of more pieces. Like, Taurean Prince, no disrespect to him. That dude's a monster. I forgot to mention him earlier, but you got three good pieces. Two greats and one good piece if you want to do it like that to build around it.
And if Dallas sucks, that means they could have 2 lotto picks.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Well,
I don't foresee that happening, but.
And here's the thing that I was looking into this earlier today because of the Bulls segment that Dave and I are going to do a little bit later. But like I was saying, you're speaking to my soul with the whole, do you want to go to the playoffs and get bounced? Because that's kind of how I feel right now as a Bulls fan as well. Do we want to go to the 8th seed, get bounced by the Celtics in the first round because we don't have Rajon Rondo, which was one of the main reasons why we would have beat would have. I'm trying to make it a finite that we would have beat the Celtics in that playoff matchup. But I was looking up the Warriors because in the Hawks.
You want to look timeline?
Well, exactly. And everyone says like, oh, well, the Hawks, they got the front office that came from Golden State, so they're trying to do the same thing. And that's why I look at the year 4 for Trae Young. Because if you look at their draft history and you look at their season, so they draft Steph Curry, his first year is 2009, 2010. The first time they made the playoffs with him was 2012, 2013, and I believe that was the last year of his rookie contract. Now, the thing I want to say is with his rookie contract, they kind of lucked out because he had injury problems, so they didn't have to pay him like Z's Suns had to pay Dev Book because Dev Book didn't have injury problems like Steph Curry. But, you look at their draft history of after they drafted Steph. It was they drafted Steph, then 2 years later in 2011 they get Clay. Then that first year they made the playoffs, that was Draymond's rookie year. So they had this, all right, we're building that talent that, of course, now it's hindsight's 2020. But then that built into that first playoff, they get a steal against the Nuggets, get to that second round, lose to the Spurs in 6 games. Then the first round the next year, they get bounced in the first round to the Clippers, but they get that experience, and then boom, the rest is history. Win 3 out of the next 4 finals, and of course those last 2, they did add KD, so there's an asterisk to that one. That's, of course, going to help you out in any finals, but I feel like the Hawks have kind of almost done the same thing in an expedited way because, of course, it depends on how they're going to pan out. But in one draft, because the Hawks actually had the draft picks, They got Trae Young, who could be like their Steph Curry point guard. They got Kevin Huerter out of Maryland, who that's a guy who can kind of bring a similar, or if they develop him that way, could kind of be like your Klay Thompson. And then many people are going, oh, Amari Spellman, he's like our Draymond. And some of that I feel like is fans trying to pinhole these players into that.
Yep.
But it is, if those three players can develop together, then maybe it's like, all right, year 3, maybe they make the playoffs, because the East is especially weaker than the West. But the last thing I'll say about the Hawks before I let you guys kind of say your final thing, the thing I love the most about the Hawks is their point guards. Mm-hmm. Not only is Trae Young going to start, I love Trae Young. I wish him the best. He's my favorite player from this past college season. Mo Bamba kind of stole my heart at the end, but Trae Young was always my number one. I love having Jeremy Lin behind him, because not only is Jeremy Lin an expiring contract and you can get rid of him if you want.
How dare you?
But if anyone knows the spectacle that is going to follow Trae Young in the NBA, it's Jay Lin. Because when he played with the Knicks, it was Lin's sanity. Like, he is going to be able to help Trae Young in this first year of his rookie deal and his NBA career.
Yeah, career is the word you're looking for there. No, I totally agree. I think that Jeremy Lin, I want this man to find a home. Mm-hmm. I want him to be healthy.
You were so sad when he got injured last year.
When he went down and he was just like, he knew
fuck.
it. He knew exactly what it was. Mm-hmm. He knew he was done for the year. Like, I shed a tear. I was like, oh, I just want you to be happy and to play and be healthy. Mm-hmm. So I hope Atlanta cherishes what they've got, and I know that he will be a great mentor for Trae to look up to and work with, because he's a super smart player. And it'll be really interesting to see how that backcourt dynamic goes. But yeah, I mean, if you're doing this comparison, I just want to jump back on the comparison thing. So are you saying Dennis Schroder is their Monta Ellis, and they just shipped him early?
Could be. He could be the Monta Ellis. But wait, didn't they ship Monta Ellis? They didn't ship Monta Ellis right away.
No, that was the thing. It was Steph played up until the 2010-2011 year, and then I think the following year he was traded, or 11-12 he was traded out. But yeah, no, it was just like that weird, they had their little rivalry, and you said this is the expedited version, so they just moved him early.
Well, if that's the case, if he's the Monta Ellis, then Hawks playoff this year, because they traded him in 2012, and that was the year they made the playoff.
Ricky's bold prediction.
Right after that.
Ricky's bold.
LeBron left. The East is wide open, man. They're wide open. Z, what's your final thoughts on the Hawks, the Thunder, this whole trade in general?
Really, I don't care. No, I'm saying. I mean, I like Trae Young a lot, dude. Like, I wanted him. I'm greedy, man. As a sports fan, I learned how to get greedy, and I wanted us to snatch DeAndre Ayton at #1 and Trae Young somewhere in the top 10. But so I mean, I did a lot of YouTube looking up and research on them and scouting, like, quote unquote. If you can't see my air quotes, but I mean, I'm like you said, I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for that dude. Like he's. I want him to be the next Clay, or not Clay, but Steph.
Yeah.
I want to see him crossing dudes. I want to see him on ESPN. I want to see that. I want to be able to be like, dang, like finally, somebody lived up to their potential. Like, 'cause Steph, I mean, nobody thought Steph was going to be what he is now. You know what I'm saying?
True,
like nobody foreseen that. I don't even think his dad did. And if we could, we all seen this dude from a young age, really his senior year in high school with YouTube and, Ball Is Life and all these different YouTube channels. We get a chance to see these dudes young, and he looked good, man. And I just really, really hope that it's not too much, like this trade, addition by subtraction with getting rid of Schroder. And they're giving him the keys to the kingdom, and I hope he knows what to do with them. I think he does. I don't want to see a bust in any of the picks except for Doncic. I want him to bust.
You son of a bitch. Look, we'll argue about this on the next show, but I got some strong feelings on that one.
And you're wearing Maverick blue today, and I mean it's not as bright, but it's kind of Mavericky.
Not
blue.
really,
yeah,
but okay.
I could say it could be a little Mavericky blue.
All right.
Z's like, I'm gonna have to look at that later.
I hate the Mavericks, and I hate Sacramento from this day forward, and the Lakers and the Spurs.
Hateful fan.
And another thing I'm going to bring up as we end this segment.
In the Warriors.
You used to be a LeBron fan, but you were telling us before the podcast no more. Are you gonna make it official here on the podcast that you're no longer a LeBron fan?
I got a lot of buddies who listen to you guys' show.
Nice.
And let me say this. Let me make it plain and clear. I love LeBron James. He was my second favorite player in the world behind Devin Booker. I'm that big of a homer, yes. And if it wasn't for him leaving Cleveland and going to Miami, this would be the case for everybody. Everybody would love LeBron because who wouldn't want to be able to say, look, this is our version of Jordan. Not that he's better, not that he's worse. We just have somebody to cling to and say, I got to see this dude play from the beginning, and I got to witness greatness, no pun intended, because of the whole Nike campaign, whatever. But now that this man has, again, left Cleveland, I don't know how Cleveland feels about it this go-around. He gave you guys a championship.
They got a championship. They're fine.
Yeah.
But the fact that he is now a resident of Los Angeles, California, I don't know the zip code or the area code. Is it 90210 or whatever that shows?
You're asking the wrong people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am a resident of Arizona, and I am a diehard Arizona everything fan. Even soccer. We don't have an MLS team. We have Phoenix Rising, which is in the USL, I think. Anyway, back to LeBron. He plays for the team that I hate more than anything in any other sport. I hate the Lakers, and there is no way that my hate and my love can coexist for one man. And because of that, I am now a staunch unsupporter of LeBron James. I wish him no luck. I wish him unluckiness. You know, I want him to be healthy and stuff. You know, maybe a little rolling of the ankle or two won't hurt, just to make sure that they don't become a playoff team. But I do not like LeBron James anymore. My love for him has now turned into mean, flaming hatred. And yeah, I'm proud to say that I can no longer vote or for him in all-star games or nothing like that. He is an enemy of Gianni now. So that's my piece on that guy.
Appreciate your take.
The thing that just popped into my head, and Sean's going to hate me saying this, but you want to know the NFL comparison to LeBron going to the Lakers? Is if Tom Brady went to the Steelers.
No.
No?
Steelers? Why the Steelers?
Because, I'm trying to think, of course, my first thought was to the Giants, but it's like...
I'm just saying, Tom Brady actually wins things.
Exactly. But
LeBron only won one ring in Cleveland.
Whoa.
He got a couple down in Miami. I mean, I'm just... I get it, because Tom Brady's lost it as well.
I was just saying,
actually,
Patriot fans would riot if he went to the Steelers.
But yeah.
Patriot fans would riot and be like,
it'd be different
if
he ever moved. I'm trying to think of a quarterback who's won in multiple places.
I mean, Brett Favre almost did, but he got cheated out of that. Peyton Manning.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, and the trophy went right over his head when he played Seattle. But then he got it when he played the Panthers.
So there you go.
Cam Newton let him get it.
So I'll go with Peyton Manning's a good comparison.
Well, this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think about this trade down below. We have gone for about almost 40 minutes.
Way too long.
Way too long.
I didn't expect to sit down and talk about Carmelo and Dennis Schroder for that long.
You know what? When you get talking to Z, everything is A-okay. Love having Z on. I can't wait to...
Sorry for my long-windedness.
Oh, I love it. And the thing that I can't wait to have you on for is that first segment we have you on for. Well, not the championship. I'm not getting that far. But that first playoff bid. And we talk about the Suns making the playoffs.
I already just want him back to go back and forth about someone he disrespected. Just disrespecting the Mavs like that.
Yeah, Dave's still salty over that Luka.
Get out of here.
But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below in the comment section. Thanks for Z for joining us. You guys can be like Z if you check out Patreon, which is down below in the description.